Hello. Our topic today, we're talking about unjust enrichment. What is it? As opposed to criminal situation, when we're talking about theft, when something was taken from you without your consent, illegally, and that might be subject for criminal prosecution, criminal litigation. In civil case, in a civil litigation, it's not the government who is going against somebody who has taken something from you. It's your civil claim, basically, that somebody has taken some value from you and therefore was enriched at your expense. So we are talking about unjust enrichment. Of course, it is only unjust if that was taken without compensation or with undue compensation, like something that was not agreed upon. So the idea of a lawsuit or for a legal suit in unjust enrichment is to be properly compensated or to return back what's yours. What is the situation? When for example, you're just maintaining somebody's house. Usually it happens within the family or some kind of like informal relationship. Or you were working at your father's, your mother's, your spouse's, your brother's, your nephew's business without proper remuneration, just to help for quite some time, or occasionally was helping with internet or network maintenance, for example, or with some marketing, or with some caregiving or babysitting. Anyway, for quite some time, you were doing some work, for example, and you were not properly remunerated for that. That's one of the regular cases of unjust enrichment. In Quebec, where, at least for now, common law spouses, like de facto spouses, conjoint de fait, are not getting similar rights at a point of separation as married couple or civil unions couple, civil union couples. Very often the idea of unjust enrichment is involved just to help one person to get something out of it. If they together were working on some business or they were just renovating the house, one was working, for example, a lot, and then at a certain point, at a point of separation, there was no legal ground to get something out of this common project. Then, by way of unjust enrichment, the concept of unjust enrichment, that person can still get some kind of compensation. Or maybe somebody was working for a long time at somebody's restaurant, again, usually a relative, and then that relative has died without leaving to that person what was promised. Often happens. And then again, there might be a question of unjust enrichment. Though, of course, there is a 3-year prescription, so any claim that is dated like longer back than 3 years, it's usually just really hard to get something about that, but still, those situations. Of course, it might be that some painting of value was taken from you without proper compensation, or something of value, also possible. But usually, like, more often, it's about work that was done without proper compensation. Maybe at that time it was not even considered to be work. For example, one conjoint de fait, one de facto spouse, was working a lot, another one was doing a lot of work maintaining the house, just doing repairs, errands, whatever. So in a way, it was a service, just for the benefit of both of them. But then, as it was unpaid, and as that person might live without anything after years and years of common life, again, this is involved, something like that. Some again, long-lasting service or even just one-time service was provided, which at the time was just by maybe some kind of friendly agreement. But later, for whatever reason, relationship went sour, the service wasn't paid, was not paid properly for. So again, there is a ground for a claim in unjust enrichment. Technically, to have such a claim, you, if you're claiming, should be impoverished, should be losing some value, while the other one should get enriched at a corresponding value at your expense, basically. And there should be no legal justification, some juridical act, some contract, even verbal, some tacit contract, some understanding where you are doing this or providing this value in exchange for something. And mind you, love and family relationship is not considered to be just valid commercial consideration for that. So there was no value received in return. So if you were impoverished, the other person got it from you without compensation, and there was no proper legal agreement why that happened. Not necessarily on paper, not necessarily notarial. Again, the contract might be verbal, but there should have been something to explain and to be proven, if necessary, before a judge that that's how you agreed. If there is nothing like that, if you were simply taken for granted for a long time, and you were doing and doing and doing something for a person without receiving anything outside of emotional relationship part, without receiving anything in return, then probably, again, it's all about facts, it's all about tiny facts, but probably you have a case in unjust enrichment. The absence of legal justification is an important part. If there was some, but you simply consider it invalid, or you consider it unjust, but there was a legal sort of an agreement or a contract, unfair, for example, then it might be a claim in contractual law, but it's a different story. Unjust enrichment implies that one gets something at the expense of another without legal justification, without a right, basically. So this is it. Thank you, and have a nice day.